what I love doing is helping women build virtual events so that they can do their own,
Mm,
connecting and collaborating.
I love all of this. Wow. So, welcome to the real story behind her business. And today we have a special guest all the way from London, UK, Ungenita Prevost. And I practiced the way I pronounce it, so I hope it's okay. Welcome to the show. And I usually don't want to introduce in details my guests because you do it so much better than I do. All I want to say is that this show is always about helping women entrepreneurs to not only share their stories, but also inspire you, the listener, the people who's going to be watching all of this, to actually include more of your story in how you sell your programs or your membership or your services, because this is what makes us unique. And how can I say that? It helps people to identify with you in a way that is different from, the other coach or the other woman entrepreneur that we have so many options online right now. So it's really a factor around our stories. This is what's going to make the difference. So thank you so much, Ungenita, for taking the time to come with me here. And without, further ado, let us know who you are and who you serve right now on this planet.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Angelique, for having me. And to all the listeners, I'm Ungenita Prevost. I am originally from the United States. I am an American expat currently residing in the United Kingdom. And my journey actually started, I would say, my my business journey actually started. The story behind my business started when I was aged out of the foster care system at 18 years old. And when I was aged out, if anyone is familiar with foster care, you essentially are put out on the street. And you don't have a parent, you don't have the system, you don't have any resources. I believe that things have changed nowadays, but back then I didn't have anything and I had to figure everything out. So I had to get a job. I had to get a bus pass. I had to figure out where I was going to live, how I was going to eat. And unfortunately, I experienced a lot of financial hardships. So I've experienced what it's like to be homeless, jobless, carless, cashless, and parentless. And because of that, I only had one choice. And it was sort of this burning desire to not be a statistic. So when I was aged out, luckily I had already been working. So I continued to work and I cultivated skill sets. So communication, selling myself, presenting myself, networking. These were all skills that I cultivated naturally because remember, I didn't have any support system at 18 years old. And so ironically, those skill sets allowed me to make changes in my life and grow and obviously, become successful. And I carried those skill sets throughout my life and also throughout many industries. So I've worked in beauty and fashion, I've worked in real estate, I've worked in the entertainment industry, and now in sort of the expert industry, personal development, business coaching, you name it. And all of these skill sets are essential to a thriving business. Really, they are essential in terms of building a sustainable business. So that's what I decided, ironically, to focus on in my work because these were the skills that I learned. These were the skills that elevated me. And I noticed there was a missing link in the marketplace where women were shying away from those core skill sets: sales, communication, and networking. And then last year, because of the big P, I'll say the big P,
I like this one, the big P.
I noticed that, you know, I shouldn't say I noticed, but obviously we were all online. And I thought maybe it's time to really niche down and focus on networking because I've always been a connector. I mean, every job, every opportunity. I mean, even this interview today came via networking. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to launch this brand right smack in the middle of the big P. And I'm going to help female entrepreneurs build social capital and monetize their networks. So that's sort of how everything came to sort of the circle moment in my life, I should say.
Wow, I love how you make it sound super like logical and simple. I mean, I'm sure it's a journey. Like I know when you'll see, guys, when I'm gonna leave your website link. But when we land on your website and we hear about your story and what you became today, you are just like, we better listen to you because you know what it takes, right? So you were mentioning the skill sets you had to learn by on your own. What is one? Maybe it's tough to say one because I'm sure there is multiple. But what would be one you would say that is kind of a must do, must have, must feel, must breathe of to build a business based on your background or anybody else's background when you have no idea what it is or what it takes to become an entrepreneur?
That's easy. Communication.
Yeah. Tell me
Yeah.
more about this. What was that? What was kind of the biggest struggle for you around communication?
Well, you see, I didn't have a choice. I had to communicate because I had to get a job. I didn't have a college degree. So I would fill out the application and I would present myself the best way I knew back in the day. And I would go to the interview and I would present myself. I was really good at self promotion. And I understood that I needed to talk to people, I needed to listen, I needed to ask smart questions. And I always landed the interviews. I mean, I actually landed jobs that I wasn't qualified for back then because I was so good at the interview process. And the skills that I developed, they were out of pure survival back then. So I was just like, okay, look, I need to eat, I need to work, I need a place to live, I need a job. Okay, let me do what I think I should do. And innately I sort of figured it out because I wasn't trained. I train women on communication, sales, and of course networking, but I learned these skills through trial and error, and of course through experience.
Yeah. So what would be would you like share some maybe not tactics, but maybe tips on for someone, because I know communication is also, there's a fear of communicating, right? What to say, and if I say this, they might think like the judge. We're all feared of being judged and rejected. So, is there anything that you now share with your students and customers, clients, that is coming from your original experience to become the communicator that you were, that you transfer to them so that they can apply this to their own business?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first tip is to communicate. Ask people how they're doing. People always ask me, they want to know about small talk, right? Do you do small talk? I really don't do small talk. I just ask questions. So if I meet someone, I'll ask them, how are you doing? If I'm sitting on a plane and I make eye contact with someone, I will say hello and I will start the conversation. But it starts with a question, and then the next thing I'll do is I'll find a common denominator. This is the mistake that so many people make, is they immediately go into I have to try to be something I'm not, or I have to talk myself up. And I just immediately find a common denominator. So, for example, you're French, and, I have a French heritage and my last name is French. So, if we met, that would be the focal point because that immediately brings us together. And then we can get in a conversation about, oh, you're French. And yes, I have a French heritage. And oh, by the way, I speak a little French. And maybe, we could talk in French, but not right now. But
I
you
was
see,
about to say it.
I know, like, don't do it, don't do it. I think the last time I was in France was a couple years ago, and I haven't finished my immersion. I've been trying to live there for a few months at a time so I could really work on my French.
Oh, that's
But
cool.
you see, that's how easy it is. But most of the time people are trying to, I'll say, be something they're not, or trying to impress people, or maybe too judgmental. And I just look for the common denominator, and it breaks the ice. And then after that, you're off and running, you establish a rapport, and then the other person is interested in you because interested people are interesting.
Yeah, I love this. Okay, amazing lesson. Thank you. I wanted to hear you about it because it's that simple, but it takes a lot for I used to be very shy, and just doing the 3 steps you said would have mortified me, right? And then the more I find that the more you practice that, the more you see like everybody's alive at the end of the conversation. It's always fun anyway, like you end up having amazing conversation most of the time, right?
All the time. And
Yeah.
it could be something simple. Like I share this at my workshops. I used to do this when I was hosting live events in Los Angeles, but I would recommend the ladies compliment each other in the room because it breaks the ice. So if you see another woman, because sometimes women, are easily triggered by other women, break the ice by offering a compliment. I love your shoes. I love your earrings. Oh my gosh, that's a really cool top. Where did you get it? Again, it breaks the ice, compliments.
Yeah.
So those are all sort of, some communication hacks if you really want to get into mastering communication and also connecting with people in an authentic way. Because we've seen through social media, and I know you're a social media expert, and I'm sure you I'm sure you can relate to this, but we are connected, but we're not connecting. And we do have to communicate if we truly want to connect. And there are various communication channels that it's important to leverage. But at the root of everything is communication. So, on video communication, audio communication, in the DM, direct messaging communication, email communication. It's really the root of everything that we're doing now. But I think it's often overlooked because people focus too much on the messaging and then the content, but a lot of people don't know how to communicate. And I love this quote by Warren Buffett, the billionaire. He said that if you want to increase your net worth by 50%, hone your communication skills. I thought, oh my gosh, that's what the
Wow.
billionaire said.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I love this. So tell me your first business, because you had a few iteration of your business. Now
Yes, yes.
you're like specialized in networking for women. But
Mhm.
tell us more about the first step of your empire. Where did it start?
Well, I think it started when I was in Hollywood. I was a body double, a dancer, and I was sort of in show business, and I got a taste, I would say, or the entrepreneurial bug, because I was essentially, at one point a starving artist, an independent contractor, and I did a lot of odd jobs. I was a beer girl. I was a music video dancer. I had so many gigs. I remember working as a spokesmodel at trade shows. So I had all these little gigs. And that's when I started to feel like I was a businesswoman and I didn't want to work for anyone else. And I wanted to do my own thing, but I didn't know what that thing was at the time because I was in the entertainment business and I had some success, but I didn't, sort of like break into the mainstream. And then I segued into the network marketing industry. And that's where all of the skill sets came together, ironically, because, the networking, the sales, the communication, and people started asking me to coach them. And I thought, no, that's not that's not glamorous. I mean, I was in Hollywood, like coaching. That's not. No, 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 no. I'm not a coach. I don't call me a coach. Just that just wasn't my thing. And then people kept coming to me and asking me for advice, and I thought, well, maybe there's something to this. And I liked again the idea of being my own boss. I liked the idea of creating something new and doing my own thing. And so I just started to create a brand around sort of empowering women. Back then, it was focused around beauty and fashion. So that's sort of how I started. And then it evolved, and I went into high level consulting. And then this last year, I launched the brand Fem Global 500, which essentially is a feminine leadership network designed to help women build social capital and monetize their networks. So I still help women, like I said earlier, with the sales, with the communication, but I'm leading with networking because I felt that it was a niche that has yet to be fully sort of attacked by anyone in the market. And I believe that I'm perfectly positioned to lead this category. So that's essentially why I chose to pivot and build a brand in this way and also during this time in the world.
Love it. So what's your vision with with FAM 500?
It's French, by the way.
I know, that's why I'm like, I missed the name. Like I was ready to say it's so French, and then I started with the number instead. So FAM 500 or FAM 500, right?
Oui.
I just love the name. It looks so good. And then your website is so class. I love it. It's so French, actually.
Thank you. I love it. Love it. No one's ever told me that, by the way.
Oh, wow. Here we go.
I love it.
So,
Merci beaucoup.
so tell us more about the vision you have. What's the mission? Like when, what do you want to see in a few years that's going to make you say, yeah, that was it. That's exactly what I wanted to accomplish.
Well, my big vision is to, and I get a little nervous when I share this, but it's my vision is to empower 10 million women to build social capital and monetize their networks. That's the big vision. The current vision is to work with 500, hence the 500 women, and build a solid network around the globe where women come together to truly connect and collaborate and build social capital and leverage social capital. So that's sort of the short-term goal, the long-term goal.
Oh, I love it. So let's dive into social capital.
Yeah.
I find this fascinating. I think I know what you mean, but I want to clarify. I want to make sure that I understand and I don't misinterpret what you say. How would you define social capital?
There's several definitions of social capital because sometimes people associate it with like capitalism, but it's really about building connections with people that are rich and meaningful that you can leverage over sort of sometimes a lifetime. And the best way that I can describe it is most people focus on social media metrics versus social capital. And it's essentially the capital that will allow you to it saved my assets. Okay, let me tell you. So I know, and I have the sort of data, the testimonials to show that it's helping women, because going through a crisis like we've all experienced in 2020, and the financial markets were turned upside down. A lot of women were hurting. For the first time, they realized that they couldn't depend on a government. They couldn't depend on a parent. They couldn't depend on a man. They couldn't depend on a job. What was left? Well, for me, it came down to social capital. That's all that we had, you know, and a lot of people realize, like, wow, connecting is valuable.
Yeah.
And that's why I made that decision to lead this category, because in my own life, every time I hit rock bottom, and when I say rock bottom, there were times when I only had, $50 in my bank account, or, like I said, when I was aged out of the system, every single time it came down to the capital that I built. So, in an era where everyone's focused on metrics and not everyone's monetizing, why not build the social capital? And one of the things that I love is there's actually a science around this whole idea of connecting with people and how many people you truly can connect with. And it's called the rule of 150. And essentially, it says that it's not humanly possible to stay in touch with more than 150 people at a time. But most people don't have 150 people in their network that they can truly rely on. And I find that so fascinating when, people brag about, I have 10,000, I have 100,000, but they don't have the 150. And so for me, when I work with women, I want them to build that 150, because when you have the 150, you're a text, phone call, email, social media post away from generating leads, referrals, joint ventures, collaborations, sometimes capital, which I've helped women connect with investors, but I think that's where social media has actually robbed us, because we're not focused on the real numbers.
I love that 150 rule. That's a lot of people to have on speed dial. Wow.
It's a system, though. You don't stay in touch with like 150
Of
every
course.
day.
Yeah.
What you do is you put them in categories and you stay in touch. Like, some people are only once a year. Some people are once a month, some people are once a quarter. But the whole idea is you stay in touch because you value that relationship. And staying in touch, like, I know a lot of celebrities and wealthy people, and I stay in touch with them by, just sending them a DM and saying hello, or an email or a text.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Just staying in touch, because I know that, that's a highly valuable relationship. So I'm not going to forget about it because I don't, quote unquote, need it right now, which is the mistake that a lot of women make when they are in desperate situations. That's when they want to network. And then they don't know how to network. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to build a rapport to extract an opportunity. And then most of the time they say, well, networking doesn't really work. And then they hop around from club to club to club. My philosophy is, if you know how to network, you can go into any situation and extract opportunities.
Yeah, okay. I love this. So you created the solution for women who kind of struggle with networking on an ongoing basis, like outside of the crisis phase.
Yes.
Right? So that solution that you created, can you tell us more about, how it works for people who might be interested in, I want to build my 150 with Ungenita?
Absolutely. So the way that I design Fem Global 500 is essentially I have around several tiers. So I have a gold tier, which is online events. So gold is an opportunity to get the training and attend the online events. Then I have an Empress tier, which is focused on building the social capital, monetizing your network. And so what we do is we approach it from 5 pillars. So number one is obviously networking. Then there's strategy. There's leadership, because for me, it's about the training and really showing up powerfully, because that's the sort of one of the reasons that networking doesn't work is because women are not confident. They don't really show up in their power when they are networking. So people don't single them out and offer them opportunities. The next one is collaboration. I'm a big component for collaboration. And then number 5 is actually accountability. So those are the sort of anchors. And what I've designed is an opportunity for women to come together twice a month, get the training, but also have the experience. So I like to think it's an immersion, because
Mm.
you know women are tired of like watching videos online. They want the real experience. So that's what I've created within Fem 500. And then I have a diamond tier, which is essentially, I'll show you how to go from socially bankrupt to building a $1 billion Rolodex. And that's for women who want a little bit more support. They want me to help them build their 150. They want me to help them with their communication strategy and show them how to truly create collaborations. And also, what I love doing is helping women build virtual events so that they can do their own,
Mm.
connecting and collaborating.
I love all of this. Wow. So thanks to the big P, as you said,
The big P,
that became very clear. So it's been not too, like it's been maybe a year and a half right now. So did you
15 months.
15? Yeah. Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
So what would you say the first big payoff for you of all this work and that kind of a sacred place you created for a woman entrepreneur to be able to network on solid grounds?
You said, what is the payoff
Yeah, the
for?
big payoff for you as a woman and as a woman entrepreneur.
Well, I think, for me, I know that this is my life's work. Like, if I ever struggled with what am I supposed to do? What is my purpose? I finally figured it out, because, this brand, it was like the easiest brand I ever developed. Everything is just so easy. I'm not saying that, I don't have challenges, of course, but it just feels right. It's like trying on the perfect dress. It's like, the perfect pair of stilettos. And I just absolutely love it. And I feel at home. I feel at ease. And I'm okay with, you know, going against the grain. I like to think of myself as a contrarian. So I'm okay challenging the status quo. I'm okay when people say, well, you should go this way, because I've had so many people. I host networking in stilettos. That's why I mentioned stilettos. I host networking in stilettos. This is number one business networking event for women. And it's sort of launched on LinkedIn, and I have this community of about 12,000 women, and I host these events. They're free events. Hundreds of women show up, and I can't tell you how many people, message me on LinkedIn, and they'll say, "Well, why don't you do it this way?" Or, "Have you ever thought about this?" And I go, "No, that would be doing what everyone else is doing. I'm doing it this way. This is my way. This is a new way, a different way. I'm going to continue on my journey." You see,
Love
and
it.
yeah, when we look at everything that was created, everything of significance, it was created out of a need, right? A problem. And people went counter to the culture, because otherwise, I'm just going to do what everyone else is doing. And then there's really no value in that.
I love this. Oh my God, you are like delivering golden nuggets every minute of the way. Thank you so much. Oh my
Thank you
God.
so much.
So,
Thank you.
what are your biggest fears as a woman leader?
That's a great question. I think I want to do it all. And when I say I want to do it all, I'm not like in a general sense of I want to have it all. I do feel that I have it all, but I want to bring this mission to fruition in a big way. So when I say 10 million women, that is scary. That is scary. I have about 100 members in my club right now. Now, it doesn't mean that they all have to physically sign up, but I want to make sure that I have a place in the world where I'm teaching women these principles. And obviously they have access to these principles. They may not have access to me directly, but they have access to these principles. And that's the ultimate goal, because I know that I will change the world, because this is significant. And we often talk about the gender equity gap. There is such a thing as a gender network gap. So that's the sort of problem that I'm here to solve.
Bam, love it. Oh my God. Okay. So now that you say that, so what is it that you do or think or practice that keeps you believing in such a beautiful mission that you have? What is the thing you do every day? Or what is it? Because it's all about the belief of your success, of the success of the community that you're building, the movement that you're raising. So what is it that you do, or I don't know, maybe it's an attitude to cultivate that belief?
Well, remember, I've been networking for so long, so it's a natural skill talent for me. So I love the fact that I can actually do this now. I can fully share my process, my philosophy with the world. I'm very grateful for that. But I think what drives me is the fact that there is a lot of issues around social media. And I think that a lot of the challenges around social media that women are facing. And so that drives me. I've been on social for about 10 years. I started on Facebook to Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, back to LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my number one platform. It's why I train women on LinkedIn. And I've recently experienced Clubhouse, but I just see there are a lot of issues for women around social, and on social media, and that drives me because I pay attention to what's really going on in the world. I pay attention to real numbers. I don't focus on the ego driven numbers or the sort of vanity metrics. I look at what's really going on in the world. And I think that social media is not always serving women. And so that drives me. And so I don't necessarily have, sort of that disbelief around what I'm doing. I have sort of like this like built-in desire to change what I see happening online.
So what makes you say, or what do you see as a trend around social media and women? I'd be interested that we can spend a lot of time here, because I love the way you talk about it. What do you see that is kind of a concern for you, or something that is a recurrent thing?
Well, I see a lot of women focus on fans, followers, and likes, but they're socially bankrupt. And when I say socially bankrupt, what I mean is they don't have a wealthy and influential network. And that's not good, because what if it all goes away? What do you have? And I see a lot of women giving their power away to a like button. Women won't post They won't do videos. They won't share content because they're afraid no one is going to like it. Or, oh my gosh, heaven forbid, they only get 5 likes. Does that mean it sucks? No. And
Yeah.
then you have the flip side of it. You have women that this is just my opinion. I think their content is less than favorable. I don't think it's world changing. I don't think it's, going to drive gender equity, and it's definitely not going to fill the network gap. And it's horrible, but they get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of likes and thousands and thousands and thousands of followers. So they're going, yes, I'm going to do more of that. And I think that that's why there's this big disconnect. And when you really look at the economic numbers in the world, only 6% of women exceed the 100K mark. I think now it's 4% exceed the 1 million mark. Then why are we bragging about 10,000 fans and 100,000 likes? I'd rather brag about, the things that, are really happening, to drive gender equity. How many women online are millionaires? How many women online are making 100K versus all of the sort of vanity metrics? So that's
Yeah.
that's the issue that I see. And like I said, on one hand, it's hurting women, because they are silent, right? They go into hiding. They don't want to be visible. But then on the other hand, the women that are sort of thriving, they leverage it, but I don't think they're leveraging it the right way.
Yeah. It's interesting what you say, because I work with the women who hide. That's social media love it's kind of exactly about what you say, to come to a place of figuring out that you can be on social media and build something that is real, not just clicks, right? So, but there is a big fear of being seen, being heard, and how do you do that? So I love that kind of our mission is kind of complementary.
Yes,
Because
yes.
I exactly feel what you say, and I just love your mission. It's so beautiful, and I wish you the 10 million. That was 10 million or billion?
Okay, here you go. He's
But
putting pressure on me.
no, I know. I'm joking.
10 billion.
But the 10 million of women, because it takes a leader to start the movement, and then after that, you're gonna have so many Ungenita clones everywhere, because it's. I'm sure the women you already have in your network right now that are you helping, there must be like on fire, because the power of networking is such a safety net, right? You're never alone.
Exactly. That's the perfect way to put it. Oh my gosh, I've never thought about it like that. It is a safety net. Because you're never alone. You always have someone, who's there for you. And especially, you're French, you lived in France, and I'm living in the UK. Think about all of the restrictions around the world and still being able to connect. You're in Canada, I'm here, but we're still able to connect. And that's what women realized during the last year, that they still can actually connect and build community with women around the globe, no matter what, no matter, if you can't get on a plane, or you're restricted, or you can't go to a conference. And I know the world is opening, but the virtual world is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
We will still leverage Zoom. We
Yes.
will
Oh
still
yeah.
do video conferencing, right? We'll still do
Yes.
Facebook lives and Instagram lives, and
Yeah.
and we'll still come together online.
Yeah.
It's not going away. If anything, we now see the value even more of having a real presence and truly connecting.
Definitely. And it is possible to do it online. Definitely. Look at you and I. We just met. It's our
Exactly.
second time chatting. But it was,
Exactly.
I find, and you tell me what you think, but the online networking, your time is even more condensed. So when you talk to someone, you know, if you wait too long before getting to what you really want to talk about, then the Zoom party is done. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yep.
So that's why I love those online networking events. I love the in-person ones as well, completely. But I like the intensity of online networking events because they are, first, it's a commitment. If you're here, it's because you want to be here, right? Nobody is pushing you to
Exactly.
open the computer, right? Or the phone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, thank you so much. It's so inspiring. And
Thank
each
you.
time I say that to my guests, I'm probably gonna not sleep tonight because you ladies are putting me on fire. Those mission of life, oh, it just brings me goosebumps. I love your mission, and I wish you the best and the best. And we're gonna put the link around this interview so that people can go and check out your website and the all the programs and events that you offer. And then I want to close with this, Eugenia. Is there anything that I should have asked that I didn't?
Ooh, gosh. Why do you love Paris so much?
Tell me more about this. How do you see that?
Oh my
Paris?
gosh, I have this fascination. Okay, so one of my dreams, and maybe you can help me with this, is I want to do a networking event in Paris.
Oh,
So if you have any connections, let
yeah,
me
love this. So would that be at the Eiffel Tower or something like that?
that it's possible.
I
It's
have a
possible.
nice restaurant at the top. I used to organize events for the Foreign Press Association in Paris.
Nice.
Yeah, and one of the best event ever that I organized was in the restaurant at the Eiffel Tower. It's a turning, like it turns, you know, it rotates. So it's
Oh wow.
pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. Well, we
I
have
don't
a
know. I'm just planting seeds here.
I love it. I love it. See, there's connecting.
Yeah, here we go. You never know now. We gonna yeah. You never know who's next in your next networking event. Who's might be a manager at the Eiffel Tower. By the way, I have my friend Ungenita. She wants to do this. You know, it just sometimes it's really a click away or a networking discussion away that your total life can shift, right? And I so believe in this because this is a story of my life as well. Not from the same background as you had. I was a luckier child than you that way, you know, the support I had, but still it takes, you know, even as a child, when you meet people who inspire you, and some adults are ready to help you, some don't care because you're just a child, you know. I just believe in
Exactly.
that.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, thank you. Well, there you go. See, that's how it happens. You put it out there.
You
Ask
never know.
for what you want.
Yes, yes, totally. Thank you so much, Ungenita. And say hello to London for me because it's pretty cool too.
Oh, I love London. I absolutely love London. And I look forward to making my way to Paris again.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll meet someday. I would love to meet you in person too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Okay, I'm gonna stop the